Hello and welcome back to another edition of Your Pennsylvania Dutch Minute. This week I come to you with a viewer request. I had an email say, hey, do a video on APIE cakes. Now, if you're Pennsylvania Dutch or if you grew up in southeastern Pennsylvania, you know darn well exactly what I'm talking about. And you probably can envision it. Maybe you can even taste it. But if you're not Pennsylvania Dutch or you're not from Pennsylvania Dutch country, then APIE cake is probably something you've never heard of. And let me tell you something. The first time you try one, you will be a convert. Because, yes, the Pennsylvania Dutch are very stubborn about our baked goods, whether it's shoofly pie or something sweet like a funnel cake or lepkuchen or any of our custard pies. Look, we love our desserts. There's no joking about it. But an APIE cake to me, besides shoofly, is one of those recipes that screams Pennsylvania Dutch. I remember vividly my maternal grandmother, Arlene Bauer. She would make APIE cakes almost weekly. And since you tend to make them traditionally small, she'd crank them out. And, the other thing you need to know about an APIE cake is it's a very heavy, dense cake. It's not fluffy and light like you might think of like any other kind of cake that you could think of. APIE cakes are quite unique because they're made to dunk into your cup of coffee. Now, again, if you're Pennsylvania Dutch, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I, in my memory, can never recall a time when I saw either of my four grandparents eat APIE cake without dunking the pieces into a cup of coffee, because it was traditionally a breakfast cake. So, the big argument for a lot of people is, well, where's the name come from? And there have been tons and tons and tons of theories out there, and I've read bunches of them, but no one can really prove for sure. One idea is it's called an APIE cake because AP standing for all-purpose flour, because you use all-purpose flour in. There's another theory out there that I read online recently that there was a famous baker in the Baltimore or Philadelphia area, we don't even know that, by the name of Anna Page, and she used to carve her initials into the top of the cakes, hence AP. And then I found online, I want to read this to you, there was an article in the Allentown Morning Call from June of 1954 that suggests APIES, APs, derives from the Pennsylvania Dutch word epikuchen, which in turn is derived from the French pain d'épices, which means literally spice bread or spice loaf. Now, can we prove any one of those? Not really. To me personally, where the name comes from isn't that big of a deal, as long as you're making them and you like them. Because I guarantee if you get one that's made right, you will like it. The one thing you always got to remember, and I'm going to share with you a recipe here in a minute, is that when you're making this, if you're a baker and you've never made one of these before, the first thing you're going to notice is that when you mix this dough, it is thick. The batter is super thick. You're not messing up. That's what you need to do. And the other thing that the recipe will of course make note of is that we're not making these in like a sheet cake or a layer cake. These are made in small 6-inch pie pans, 8-inch pie pans, usually not much bigger than that though. So listen, they are heaven. I'm going to share with you a recipe right now. Here it is on the screen. As you can see, it's a very simple recipe. We have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We have 8 ounces of light brown sugar, a half a cup of vegetable shortening or a 1/4 cup of butter, salt, some milk, traditionally soured, some baking soda, cream of tartar, 1 egg, and optional vanilla extract. And then you can do an additional topping, which is the granulated sugar mixture with ground cinnamon and butter. And you do that kind of like a crumb topping. Think like, if you're baking, you know what I mean. But it's a very simple, plain recipe, as you can see. And then the directions, very simply, you're going to preheat your oven to 325 degrees, and then grease one of those. In this recipe I found online, they're calling for a 9-inch or a 9.5-inch pie pan or cake pan. But like I said, my grandmother tended to make the smaller ones, 6 inches or 8 inches. But just divide your batter out if you're going to do a smaller one. You're going to mix your ingredients, and it will get thick, and then into the oven, 35 to 40 minutes. Of course, check it with a cake tester. And then once it's done, pull it out, of course. Let it cool. However, it is delicious, warm, fresh out of the oven. And I'm telling you, the absolute best is the next day for breakfast. you dunk a piece of that in your coffee. You know what I'm talking about if you like your AP cakes. So there's an opportunity for you to try something new if you've never had AP cake, or maybe it's something you remember your grandparents making and you haven't had it in 40 years. Well, now's the time to resurrect that tradition and make yourself a delicious AP cake. Thanks so much for bringing in the question. It made me, brought back some great memories for me. Of course, I do make AP cakes from time to time, but I don't make them as often as my grandmother used to do. So shout out to anybody out there still making AP cakes. Leave a comment down below in the comments down below. Let me know if you like AP cakes or if you have fond memories of your grandmother or your mother or your aunt making AP cakes as a child when you were a child, or you still make them today. Share a picture on Facebook of you and your fresh AP cake. Until next time, keep those questions coming. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done so. Share the Pennsylvania Dutch love. Bake an AP cake and keep practicing your Pennsylvania Dutch. And until next time, Max goed.
Max